will say that our business is stronger than it has ever been.
The success of growth and where I see companies growing consistently really is your people.
I mean, the story is not, does it make power? Because they all make power. The story is, what does it power?
This is What Solar Installers Need to Know with your host, Herve Billiet and Joe Marhamati.
Hi there, it's Herve and Joe with What Solar Installers Need to Know, where we interview solar CEOs and experts on how they run their business on the solar coaster. We ask their private revenue numbers, we give actionable advice, and learn about trade secrets so you can run and grow your solar business. Joe and I built a solar company from 0 to 12 million in sales and got successfully acquired. If you'd like to do the same or do better, go to sungrow.com/blog to get actionable behind-the-scenes lessons on running and growing your solar business. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the next episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast about what solar installers need to know. I have the great, immense pleasure today to invite people from over the Atlantic Ocean. Jerónimo, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's also an honor for me to be here and talk deeply about the solar market here in Spain.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Sunrow, we are a platform built by solar installers, and little did I know that common problems solar installers face in the US are actually the same problems all over the world. I think you're the first one that's a non-US solar CEO. So, a little bit information about SolarYou, based in Madrid, Spain. You guys did about 1 million in revenue last year. You had 2 million this year. You operate everywhere in Spain. And you have around 22 people. Jerónimo, tell us a little bit more about SolarYou, how you got started, and what you guys are doing.
Nice. The data you just said is perfect. We're only 2 years and a half old, which was actually a bad year for the solar industry here in Spain. But in the beginnings, how it all started, I used to work in consulting in energy projects with we're 3 co-founders. We used to work together with one of them, Edu. I worked in consulting doing energy projects, not self-consumption, but big utilities and stuff. He then went to a big utility in Spain to do self-consumption for B2B, okay? And then I moved to the alarm industry here in Spain for homes. And that is where I met my other co-founder, Raúl. He was in the sales department, the sales area. And we always wanted to start the business. So we started to think and deep dive and stuff. And we found that in the US, there were some alarm companies that had started solar business. For example, I remember Vivint Solar, which was an alarm company, started Vivint Solar. And afterwards, ADP also acquired a company called Sunrun, I don't remember. And so there were a lot of synergies between the commercial approach in alarms and solar. So we said, okay, maybe we know how to sell alarms. We will know how to sell panels. We needed a genius from self-consumption. That was my other friend, Edu, who I worked with before. So we started the business in, I think it was April 2023. With no money, just the 3 of us, starting to sell at the beginning, outsourcing absolutely everything, validating that we could sell, which is like one of the difficult part here in solar. And then our first year, we started that it was just the 3 of us in a free co-working with no money. And in the first year, we could sell more than 1 million euros, which was like a great success. And then in the second year, which is to 2025, like the first full year and the second full year, we're going to reach 2 million, hopefully. And so we're very happy. What we do is basically solar self-consumption for single family homes. We also do heat pumps, batteries, EV chargers, inverters, panels, and then we give additional services afterwards. And that's what we do. We're currently more than 20 people. We're based in Madrid, but we, as you said, we do installations in all Spain, even the Canary Islands or Islas Baleares too, Mallorca and all that stuff. Yeah, that's more or less what we are.
All right. And who's your typical customer? Is it just residential, maybe some commercial?
Like our typical customer is a homeowner person, 60 years old, but we've also done some commercial, not a lot yet, we're going to get into it, but we wanted to focus on this commercial model for residential, which is different than when you go for bigger installations. And it's more similar to the alarm process that we knew before. So we mainly do homes.
So there's a lot of commonalities. You mentioned that in 2023 was a bad year for solar in Spain. Tell us more about like what happens kind of policy-wise in the past and today, and then why start a solar business in a bad year?
Okay, that's a good question. Like in Spain, the solar grew exponentially. I'm pretty sure it was in 2022. So it was a great year, and we had a lot of subsidies from Europe because after the start of the war in Ukraine, in Spain, for example, and in all Europe, natural gas. And in Spain, we have this market for energy, which is a competitive market where the marginal technology entering sets the price. Okay. So whenever natural gas is very expensive, then you get energy in your house very expensive. Okay. So high prices and subsidies from Europe was like the perfect storm for the solar market to explode in Spain, 2022, and I think also 2021. And in 2023, subsidies started to disappear, which is something that I also kind of like because I don't want a market completely depending on subsidies. And there was still a lot of room for growth because in Spain you have a penetration of around 10% in maybe in single family homes. That's why we also wanted to enter this segment. And so after these subsidies from Europe, instead of doing, I'm going to talk about big numbers, okay? But instead of doing 300,000 installations in Spain, that was like the market volume. It was like half that volume, maybe 150. Okay, so it's not that bad, and now it's maintaining, it's stable. And for me, it's the typical market. It can go fast, it can go slow, but it's going to go because it's when you put money into it, you get a great deal. So it's going to work for sure. Maybe fast, maybe slow, depending on how much subsidies it gets. But it's running good nowadays. It is true that by that time there was a lot of new solar companies appearing, and obviously some of them the market is half the size it was, had to close.
Let's speak about some data points, some numbers. So in the US, you have electricity prices to residential homes. In Virginia, you need to count around 15 cents per kilowatt hours. You have places like in California with like 50, 60 cents per kilowatt hours. You have some cheaper markets where you go like close to 10 cents per kilowatt hours, but that's kind of the range. Expensive places is like 50, 60 kilowatt hours. The bottom price is around 10. And then you have a lot of states like 30, 40 or 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So what are the prices that you see in Spain?
Yeah, that's a great question. America is huge, so that happens. In Spain, you have the same price for all the area. It depends, but in the year when the Ukrainian war started, maybe you could get 30 to 40, 25 to 35, something like that. Depending, what you have is different prices around the 24 hours of the day.
You pay more depending on the time of day?
It depends because you have like this regulated market where your prices are indexed to the pool, to the real prices, and then you have like this pre-market where retail companies can say, okay, you're going to pay 12 cents per kilowatt hour a day, any time of the day. Okay. So currently, there are some we can be paying between 10 and 15, depending of the retail company. But there are a lot of tariffs between 10 and 15. Last year it was a bit more, but maybe next year natural gas gets expensive again and you have 30. But yeah, something like that, which obviously is an important data and information for the solar market, because if energy is very cheap, then your installation, maybe you need more years to get the payback, but you get certainty. For me, the big problem here is uncertainty in the future. In Spain, you don't know what you're going to pay the next year.
So you guys sell on that? Is that one of the reasons why people buy solar from you? Because like once you pay for it, it's a cash deal or maybe loan deal. Like how do you sell? What are some key sales arguments and what are some financial mechanisms you guys offer? Loan, lease, cash?
Definitely, that's a big argument. Because some people tell you, but this year energy is cheap. You tell, look 3 years ago, which was expensive, and then look 10 years ago when it was cheap, and then look 15 years ago. So you see there's not a stability at all. Also, if you calculate the payback here in Spain, you get without any subsidy between I don't know 4 and 6 years for a system that is going to last maybe 30 years. So still, it's like the best place where you can put your money on. You're not going to find a better investment, definitely. So that's one thing. And then also in Spain, there's still some aids, some subsidies. In most of them are tax incentives. Okay, some of them in the income tax, which in Spain is very high, probably compared to the US. Also in your property tax, you pay every year for having a house. You have to pay. Then you get some discount on that tax. So that all obviously helps a lot. And then you also asked me how do people pay, right? How do we offer this?
Yep.
Most of normally 50% of our clients pay in cash and 50% pay in loan. We have some partnerships with Spanish banks, so we can offer their financing products. That's great because one of them, an argument that I like a lot is, okay, you're currently paying, let's say, 100 euros a month. You are going to get this installation and pay 60 euros a month, and you're going to have no bill or 10 euros a bill. So you're going to start saving the next month without investing a euro. So that's like amazing because you are not selling more spend. You are selling savings, and selling savings is for me something incredible.
Do you have specialized loans, like solar-specific loans in Spain? Like, are your loans with specific local Spanish banks?
Normally, they are like, I don't know how to say in English, but normal consumption credits, because maybe you ask for 10,000 euros. They know, like the banks know that we install solar panels, that they know who we are. They know why we offer financing to clients. I cannot be a financing to buying a car. This is not me. I can't do that. I sell financing for solar systems, normally between 3 and 15 years. And that's a typical product that is worth for clients. That's how you get like a very small payment per month below your electricity bill, which is like the good thing. And that's how it works.
Okay. So more about numbers. In the US, I think solar installers, EPCs that do both engineering, procurement, construction, they do it all. The typical price, or I think, is around between $2 and $3 a watt. I think there's a lot of companies in the $250 to $70 a watt range, or above, depending on the markets, of course. But that's kind of like, I think, $250 a watt. So let's say you do a 10 kilowatt system, which is a typical size. I think our average for the time was like 11 kilowatt system. 10 kilowatt system, you pay $25,000. That's roughly where you're at.
That's pretty cool. I wish it was like in America. Now, in Spain, there's a big competency on prices, and then systems are typically smaller. Like average system in Spain can be between 4 and 6 kilowatts. So it's not as expensive as it is in the US. Probably it helps that in the US the energy is much more expensive than in Spain, as we just said. So yeah, maybe typical system is sold for 8, 9, 10,000 euros, for example. It depends a lot because it depends if you have batteries or not. I'm talking about systems without a battery.
Yeah, without batteries. So maybe you sell around 10,000-ish. I don't know. So what is the battery? Like it's what is it now? Like 10 or 13 kilowatt hours of battery for Tesla? Just taking one data point.
Okay, in Spain you would set probably a 7 kilowatt hour battery of capacity, and that would be around 7,000 euros. Like are still very expensive in Spain. I think probably more than in the US. Yeah, like installation is not complicated. Like the product itself is expensive. Easy to have a small payback with batteries in Spain, yeah. But it's improving a lot. It's completely changing right now. This year is completely changing.
Okay, so a 5 kilowatt system at $1.50 a watt, or like you sell around like 7,500. So projects are like just $10,000 if you add maybe some other costs in there. Maybe with a battery, you are like 15,000-ish, something in that range.
Yeah, something like that. In Spain, I talk about prices including the end-to-end of the installation. Okay, we include all the permitting, all the management of the aids. Like if you have to do something in some local administration, we do it. Obviously, materials, installation, everything you need to do here in Spain. Yeah, maybe 8,000, 9,000. If you go to batteries, 13,000, 14,000, something like that. Like it depends a lot, obviously. If it is off grid, on grid, there are very different types of installations.
All right. So who are your competitors? Are your competitors like two guys in the truck, small solar companies? Are they more like national players? Are they like the local electrician that can also do some solar? Like, what's the landscape look like for you?
I love the landscape in Spain, not because I love it, because I think it's very interesting, okay? But like more than half of solar installations in Spain are done by SMEs, maybe an electrician who started its own business 3 years ago because he knows how to put a solar panel. There's a big market. I want to enter that market and I'm making money. And now each month I earn a lot of money and I'm doing that. And that's like more of half of the market. For me, those like the SMEs. Then you got big utility companies in Spain, Endesa, Naturgy, Iberdrola, like very big utilities. For them, I think it is not like a very interesting business. First, because it is like you need a lot of capillarity. It's like installation gives you a lot of cases. It's very granular and there's not that much money as they have in other business. And secondly, because it, from my point of view, and I know it cannibalizes their business of retail. So once people get solar panels, they pay less in retail. But there are actually some big companies in Spain that have stopped doing solar installations for residential. They only do B2B, which is like something make you think about. And then you have some kind of startups like SolarYou's and some others, which try to grow very fast, a lot of focus on the customer, a lot of commercial focus, maybe access to money, know how to scale or try to know how to scale companies, try to digitalize everything, your softwares, whatever. So you are not a big utility, but you don't want to be the typical electrician doing 3 or 4 installations a month. Let's see what happens in the next years, because the landscape in Spain is interesting because there are probably, I don't know, 50, 100 companies that completely stopped their activity in the last 1 year, for example. So it's difficult here in Spain.
Why is that? Why do you think they stopped their activity? Is it like a common reason or?
Well, first of all, as I mentioned before, big market 3 years ago, half the market now. That's like a big reason, obviously. And then for me, the problem is if you don't maintain your CAC below something that makes sense. And in Spain, there were a lot of people wanted to gain market share selling free installations, not making money out of it. They thought those installations were going to give you money in the future, but if you don't do it really good, it's a one-off. You lose money and you lose money for forever. Okay, then the cases of your installation start, you get some incidences and you have no money in your bank account. So it's very difficult to do it. So I think it's, first of all, very important to maintain CACs really low. You have to make money when you sell. If you lose money when you sell, you have a problem. And this problem has been very common in Spain. And then you need to think about your recurrent additional services after the sale. The post-sale is very important. And then you have some things you can do to make more money afterwards. That's what I think has happened in Spain, which is such a difficult topic, obviously.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the topic of cost of acquisition CAC. So I'd like to ask you, how did you find Sunvoy? Like, what's the benefit to you?
Yeah, okay. Like, to be completely transparent, from the very beginning, we were completely obsessed with doing additional services to our clients after the installation. For me, it was kind of, first of all, giving a better service and be different from the rest of our competitors. So it was really important for me from that point of view. But secondly, because you want to have a recurrent earnings, revenues all the time. You don't want to just do one-off. And so we were looking for an app like Sunvoy, for a service like Sunvoy, where our clients could interact with us, tell us directly with their app all their concerns, anything they need, So they can open a ticket, they can talk to us, we can give them advice on whatever. They can also monitorize their app, their installation, sorry, which is amazing. Like in real time, you can see what is happening in your rooftop in the Samboy app. That's for me, it's amazing. And also, we thought it was a really interesting service because it allowed our clients to fight for referrals easier. For me, one of the most important things in our industry is to give a good service so that the clients are very happy and they refer you to their colleagues, neighbors, family, whatever. And in some way, we found all of these things. Like you have interactions with SolarYou whenever you want in an easier way. You can see what is happening in your rooftop in real time whenever you want. You have the SolarYou branding, and then you can also do referrals and some other things which are coming. So it was like the perfect thing we were looking for. We couldn't find it, and so when I met you and Joe and the company, I was completely in love with the product. That's
Cool, cool. Well, the next piece that are coming is like e-signatures, and also you mentioned permitting. So a lot of documents still need to be signed and filled out. So the filling out is going to happen automatically with placeholders. Means we have access to information from your CRM, from inverters, from design software. So we're going to pull all of that in. So everything's pre-filled for you, and then you can send it automatically to your customers and other people to get it signed. Control of batteries, what in the US is called a virtual power plant. In Europe is called like the energy management system of home energy management system, where you can turn things on and off based on the signal from like, hey, it's this time of day, I want to shut the heat pump or the water heater off, or a signal from the utility, like the market, the utility price is negative. It happens more in Europe than in America, where you have, once you have negative prices and you produce solar with a negative price, like to push that on the grid, you need to pay for it. So we'll have information from the grid saying like it's a negative price, and then we shut down your solar for you. So that energy management system or home energy management system, HEMS, that's coming next.
Let me just complete that. Like for Europe, that's amazing because you have a lot of different prices along the day, and sometimes you wanna maybe buy, even if you just have a battery and two panels in your rooftop, maybe you wanna buy energy from the grid at 2 p.m. and you wanna sell it at 10 p.m. and then you can compensate it in your electricity bill, and that's amazing. And it's something that like physically can be done, but we do not have like really good softwares or systems doing that, or at least I don't know them. So that's like a big thing for Europe, definitely. As long as batteries are penetrating slow, but this year we are feeling that they all want batteries, so it's gonna be bigger and bigger.
All right, well, I better end the podcast and start working on it, huh? But just kidding, I have a few more questions. For example, I like to keep comparing the US market to the Spanish market. So let's talk about hardware. What are some solar panel brands that you guys install, and maybe some prices of those panels compared to the US? So do you guys have maybe Q-Cell? Is that around in Spain?
I think it's beginning, but not yet. Like it's not common, at least not very common in Spain. Easier like solar panels, the module, the technology, like the main one is N-type panels. Have like over I think 23% or 22.5% efficiency, which is good. Every year it gets a bit better, but I don't know how different is that in the US. I guess it's similar, right?
Well, I would say we have REC is a big one, QCell is another one. We have J Solar, we have Jinko, we have a lot of SEG. But then the price, I think, on large utility scale, like big commercial, is like pretty low. But residential, I would say, is around 40, 50 cents, sometimes even more, 60 cents. But I think that's kind of where the prices are at of our solar panels.
Yeah, like I don't know. Obviously, we have to see the change, but I think it's still cheaper here, right?
Yeah, no, we have every time I tell people that, they are shocked. I think it's like a 20% difference these days, but then by moment it's kind of more like parity, the same. But roughly speaking, about 20% difference now at 16%. But then there's huge tires. Interestingly enough, I spoke a few years ago when I was still running Ipsen Solar. I bought Q-Cell panels. This is like 320 watt panels, I think, at the time, or 350 watt panels, and a friend in Belgium bought the exact same panels, and I paid more than double. It was a huge difference in price. But I don't think QCell makes any more money. Maybe some distributors in QCell, but I think it's mainly tariffs. I'm not an expert in it. What I do know is the price difference is massive.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Which batteries do you install?
Yeah, it depends. Like I think Tesla, everyone knows Tesla in Spain, but batteries for home are not that popular. They're very expensive here, and so normally sometimes you put like, for example, if you install Huawei, which is like the Huawei battery, and it's completely compatible or however it's called, and maybe if you install other inverters, it depends on the inverter, but I don't know. They also has their own batteries. There are plenty, and in Spain, the thing is that they're very expensive, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper. And like at the beginning, we were installing maybe 10% of our installations had batteries. Currently, it's probably over 20%. So we are feeling that this is getting more and more popular in Spain, and I hope the prices keep going down, so people can have an interesting payback on their investment for batteries.
So if you want to expand and go beyond Balearic Islands, Yorka, and the Canary Islands, if you want to stay in Spain, it's all Spanish anyways. Your app is in Spanish, everything's Spanish. If you want to enter Puerto Rico, I think it's 100% attachment with no batteries there.
Yeah, I think yeah, and that would be how it should be also in Spain in the future. I love batteries actually.
Jerónimo, in America, we have a tax credit of 30% that is going away on January 1st. What is the tax credit situation in Spain?
Okay, so it's similar in Spain. It's even better. We get a 60% tax. What do you call it? Tax discount, right? Or tax credit. Tax credit.
Credits,
Okay.
residential.
Yeah. So in the sense, so in Spain, let's say you do an installation and you pay 10,000 euros, for example. Then the next year, when you do your income tax statement or whatever, you say, hey, last year I installed a solar system. It was 10,000 euros. I want to get my 60% off. So you have your invoice, you have your legal documents. You present that if you're asked for it, and you get back 60% of that, which is 6,000 euros, which is a lot. It's also same than in the US. It's also ending in January 1st to 2026, but we're still thinking that maybe they can renew this aid. Hopefully, we'll see, but we know nothing about it, so let's see.
Yep. Now, as a business owner, you need to hope for the best and plan for the worst. What are you changing or planning for if that 60% tax credit goes away January 1st? What's the plan?
Yeah, that's a good question and not an easy one. The thing is, here in Spain, as I told you before, your normal payback for installation is between 4 to 7 years, more or less, without any aid. So whenever you get into aids, in some places in Spain, you can almost get like a free installation. In Valencia, for example, you have this 60% of credit tax for the income tax, which is like for all the state. But then you have like Valencia, Comunidad Valenciana, like the community of Valencia. They have another 40% extra tax credit. So it's like amazing,
Really?
no? Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% incentive.
Yeah,
Wow.
completely. So it's like amazing. I don't know why I don't have a queue right here in the front of my office of people say, hey, but still, so you get paybacks between 1 and 2 years, which is amazing thanks to the aids. For me, installing solar panels are what we are trying to train to our commercials, to our salespeople, because it's coming soon, is that this is still very profitable. Like, I don't know how many investments you get a payback of 4 to 7 years. It's still very profitable. It's something that, as I said before, if you finance your installation, you are going to pay less than what you pay for your electricity bill. So you are going to be saving from one independently from the tax credit. So still you are saving money. And for me, you cut off with uncertainty, which is a big problem in Spain in the electricity market. So I think maybe the market suffered a bit at the beginning, but it's still a profitable investment. So it makes sense to me that it will continue growing. We're obviously planning what to do, but I feel relaxed on that side because it's still a profitable product. It's getting more and more popular. You get some other aids locally, for example, with the property tax, with some communities give you some other tax credits. but still, it's always a profitable investment. So from that side, I feel I'm cautious, but still feel confident on that.
Yeah, yeah. That makes me think actually that you know how people buy an insurance plan. Just some people, if they travel, they buy a travel insurance or flood insurance. Although your house may just never flooding. So that's kind of an insurance like mitigate your risk. So maybe we should start selling solar as like an insurance for the grid. You think the price of the electricity will go up on the grid? And in America, it's a hot topic these days about like data centers and the price of electricity just going up. Maybe you should just sell solar as like an insurance plan. You think it's going to go up? Well, here is your insurance plan. You can just pay for it and forget about it because once you pay solar, it's kind of a fixed price no matter what. Yeah, that's maybe not another creative way of
Yeah,
selling solar as an
no,
insurance plan.
definitely, and definitely in Spain we talk about the politics, talk about pobreza energética, which is like poverty. It's like a typical
Mm.
weapon, political weapon. So it is true that you finish with this uncertainty for the future. You get an insurance, you install your solar panels, and you know what is going to happen for the next 30 years. You're not going to have pobreza energética ever again, and you're gonna have light in your house, which is like one of the very first needs we have. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
How do you see your company grow? What are some places where you invest or you need to work on for the company to grow or grow even faster? What's on your mind?
Okay, so in terms of places, like is in Spain, there's a lot of room for growth, as I said before. Um, there are two big challenges for me. One is maintaining low CAC, and secondly, scale the operations. Scaling the operations, it gets more and more difficult once you get bigger because you have more different problems everywhere. So that's the difficult part. On the commercial side, it's pretty, I wouldn't say easy at all, but we really know, we think we know the path how to grow there. But for me, one of the pillars of growing has to be referrals for sure, and has to be good service for our clients. And if we start giving an amazing, we already do, but you can always improve. Okay, but if you give
Yeah.
an excellent service to your clients, you're gonna have free clients coming to you for sure, and you have to promote that. And once you finish the installations, you need to call your client and say, "Hey, give me the phone of your family. I don't care. I'm gonna give you money wherever. I'll give you incentives wherever." To grow, you need to do referrals in order to maintain a low CAC. To grow, you need to do upselling. All those clients which only installed inverters, maybe next year you can call them and say, "Hey, I have a battery and it's gonna be it is worth for you." So you need to do that, and that's on what we are focused right now. For sure, scaling operations is a challenge, and I have my colleague Edu working on that. But on the commercial side, we need to give these additional services that we said before, an amazing service, and I think we will be able to maintain low CACs.
All right. Jerónimo, thank you very much for being part of the podcast. What solar installers need to know. I hope installers around the world learn more about the different markets they are in and maybe some common problems and maybe some common solutions they can implement. So thank you, Jerónimo. Gracias.
Thank you very much, and talk to you soon. Thank you very much to everyone in the podcast.
If you'd like to do the same or do better, go to sunvoy.com/blog and get actionable behind the scenes lessons on running and growing your solar business.